What's up? My name is John Bonjour. I am a comic artist and film enthusiast, which makes me uniquely suited for an MCU rewatch to end all MCU rewatches. We are on the road to Doomsday, and I am watching everything in the MCU in chronological order. We are now on the original Iron Man, directed by Jon Favreau and starring Robert Downey Jr. and Gwyneth Paltrow. This is the first introduction to Marvel Studios that I ever had. It's the first introduction to Marvel Studios that a lot of people had, to be fair, because it was the first Marvel Studios production. But this was also the first Marvel Studios movie that I watched as a kid, and you gotta remember, I started watching these movies in like 2012, after a lot of them had come out and right before the Avengers came out, which means I could have watched them in any order, and I watched Iron Man first because my mom, shout out mom, was like, these movies are sick. You're gonna like them. I want to engage these as if it's my first viewing of all of these films and talk about them as their own piece of media, as well as, toward the end of the video, talk about how they fit into the franchise as a whole chronologically. So, Iron Man is, I think, an incredibly fun movie. It's very, very fun. It lives and dies on the performances, specifically Robert Downey Jr. As people who know where this is all going, that's not shocking, but watching it this time, it really did. It struck me how important he actually is to this character and how important he is to the universe as a whole. The snide, bombastic, kind of aggressive version of this character is so integral to this movie working because there is a great character arc in this film. And I didn't realize that growing up as a kid. Like, I did not at all see any of the political stuff that was happening in the movie. I didn't see a single bit of it. I also did not see Robert Downey Jr. I didn't see Tony Stark developing as a character and learning from his mistakes, learning from the people around him, growing, becoming a better person as well as a better inventor. I didn't see none of that. I saw a big guy with laser hands shoot a bigger guy with gun hands, and that is because I was a child. I think the movie is also pretty reliant on Jeff Bridges as the villain, as Obadiah Stane. He plays the character in a very, like, it's Jeff Bridges. You want to love him. He's heartwarming. He's kind. And I think that that's important. That casting was really good because you do care about him for the very first, half of the movie. You care a lot about Obadiah Stane and his relationship with Tony Stark. Knowing how this movie was made, in that a lot of it was just kind of made up on the fly, it has a little bit of that energy. And I think when it first came out, you'd probably be like, whoa, no way. Having seen it several times and watching it now, I think knowing that only makes the movie better. It only makes it more fun, that there's this kind of energetic, lively back and forth that doesn't feel like people writing dialogue. It feels like these characters interacting with each other and being just kind of shitty to each other sometimes. It's very fun, especially with like Robert Downey Jr. and Gwyneth Paltrow. With Tony and Pepper, that relationship really develops in this movie in a way that I didn't pick up on at all. Also, the action sequences in this movie are, although few and far between, very, very, very fun. The original sequence in the Middle East where he puts on the like Mark I suit, great scene, great chase, great escape sequence, really exciting. The scene where he goes back in the like Mark II or III Iron Man suit, probably the Mark III, I guess. The classic Iron Man scene, right? Where he shoots the little, like somebody shoots a missile at him and he dodges it and he shoots it back at them. That scene is so much fun, and it develops the fighting style of Iron Man. It develops the heart of Iron Man. Like, I didn't realize how much of a character moment that was watching it again, watching it for the first time. You see that moment as him finally breaking and realizing, I have to do this because no one else is going to. A very good character moment for Tony Stark. Him putting that much weight on himself is really interesting. And then the final action sequence, I always kind of remember the rooftop bit as being the final action sequence. There's a whole fight with the Ironmonger, with Obadiah Stane, like through the city, through LA or whatever city that is, San Francisco, I can't remember. Through that city, there's a fight with the Ironmonger where he's like throwing cars at Tony, and Tony's like trying to bounce around and punch him, and like it's a good fight. It's very fun. Ironmonger is a fun villain. He's a dynamic looking villain. I like that they kind of made him look like Jeff Bridges. I like that. I think that's very funny. Or maybe they just cast Jeff Bridges because he kind of looks like the Ironmonger suit. I honestly don't know which one it is. I think if I have any complaints about the film, it's a little bit dated. You're starting to see that early 2000s feeling, although I don't think it really stands out. And it does kind of put it in the time of the movie. So that's not inherently a bad thing, but it is an interesting note. The costuming, the lighting, the way that this movie is shot. The further we get from it, the more out of date it begins to feel. This is the horniest Marvel movie, I think, maybe Eternals. As a out of the fiction, it's interesting to see them starting this universe in this kind of pushing buttons, making these character choices, and the further we go into the universe, the more and more locked in we get into what these things kind of look and feel like. It's very fun to see one of these that doesn't look or feel like those in a lot of ways, and I think that this sets the tone for a lot of the movies going forward, but it also, I think, kind of breaks the tone for a lot of the movies going forward. On rewatch, I really, really loved the first Iron Man. I had an absolutely great time with it, just on its own merits, not trying to set up the universe, not trying to do anything important. I mentioned earlier in my Captain Marvel review that there was going to be, just if we're talking universally speaking, there was going to be some challenges in the sense that Coulson has this running joke, where he's giving the entire name for S.H.I.E.L.D., the Strategic Homeland Intervention, Espionage, and Logistics Division, and there's the running joke of like, you guys have got to get a shorter title for that. And he's like, yeah, we're working on it. Does that totally work in the context of Captain Marvel? Not really, because he should just be calling them S.H.I.E.L.D. I honestly don't care. It's one of those things that I'm like, yeah, sure, a little bit of a retcon, whatever. You can argue it away, you can explain it away. Otherwise, in the context of the universe, it is very strange, just if we're looking at the universe, going from Captain America to Captain Marvel back to Iron Man, because it feels more grounded. That's part of what makes Phase 1 feel so fun, is that it is so grounded. And so it's interesting to go back and forth and see the like space side, see Earth, space, back to Earth, where it's amazing that a man can have a big metal suit. It's less amazing that a man can have a big metal suit when we were just watching people flying through the air and destroying these giant, huge ships. And, it's just, there's an element of wonder that I think is kind of missing in the contextual rewatch when you're watching it as a universe, because that's not crazy. That's not a crazy thing to see. It has to rely more on the character than it does the shock and awe of it all. And I think it really does land in that way. In terms of other universal things, this really solidifies S.H.I.E.L.D. as a presence that's kind of going around. We meet Nick Fury for the second time. It now fits really well into this kind of, he used to be this kind of softer, kinder guy, and he's just seen too much, and so now he's just like, there's a lot more going on. I think this does set up Tony Stark as kind of the heart of these characters. Like, Captain America is the bravery, Captain America is the kindness. Tony Stark is this kind of, he is the antithesis of the Captain America. He's still a good person, but he is coming at it from a completely different direction. He's angrier, he's bullheaded, and you can see those two characters, how they're going to eventually kind of come into conflict. And I think it's fun to have these well-established characters that fit so well together. It's fun seeing like the Stark stuff in Captain America come to fruition in Iron Man, and see like, hey, this is who Stark is, this is what it's become. And that's, I'm at this point, I'm just saying things that you could have already seen in the movie. This was a lot of fun. I had a really good time with Iron Man. I am excited. I think Incredible Hulk is next. I'm excited to see what that feels like in the context of all of these things. I've rewatched it fairly recently, so I'm a little bit worried that I'm just going to be kind of bored by that. But again, entering this as the first time we've ever seen it. So I will be rewatching The Incredible Hulk next. For now, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching these videos and checking out my channel. If you'd like to hear more of my thoughts on movies, comics, TV shows, anything the like, please do hit the like button and the subscribe, and comment down below what you'd like me to review next, or do none of those things because I am not your dad.